Welcome to another edition of Walker Talks. I'm Lacey Smith with the Walker County Chamber of Commerce, joined by our board member, Pastor Ashley Mew from Gordon Lake Wesleyan Church. We've got a familiar face joining us today, too.
We do have a familiar face. Good friend of ours and staple in our community for certain.
For certain. He's been a past board member of the Walker County Chamber, worked with the Walker County school system. Glad to have you today, Matt Harris, with the Northwest Georgia Joint Development Authority.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was wondering when I was going to get invited. I got my feelings hurt a little bit.
Well, the topic was...
No, I understand.
For this month, one of the topics that we wanted to cover was workforce and education and how that all fits together. And I couldn't think of a more appropriate guest to have on the podcast. For people who don't know you, tell them a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I spent 15 years in public education. A lot of people know me from Gilbert Elementary, or people know me from the College and Career Academy, Walker Launch. So came up, taught at Rock Spring for a couple of years with my wife, which was a fun experience, and then went to Gilbert Elementary. Spent a good number of years there as assistant principal and then principal, and we had, did some fun things. We had our forced kindergarten, and I'm excited to see that that's grown and expanded around the region. That was the first group to do that in the public school. And then we had our primary health care, on-site dental and on-site medical.
Remember that ribbon cutting?
Yeah, that's still there. So some exciting things. And they've got some great leadership coming in. A lot of changes are happening in Walker, but it's familiar faces, people I've either hired or trained. So fun to see that happen there. And then I went on and actually Damon said, pick your job, pick your title, start on Monday. And I was like, what does that even mean? It was called me on a Friday, and so said I was moving to central office, picked what I was going to do, and then head. So I was the one and only coordinator of innovation for Walker County because I got to pick my title, so I picked what I wanted. Did that for 3 years, and Walker Launch was kind of the big thing that came out of that. We worked, just with the technical college to use the resources we already had. We didn't build a building. We used the credits that were already there, dual enrollment credits. We used the buses that were already driving past, and had a couple really good employees with a lot of different certifications that got it started. I'm excited to see. I know Zach's coming on soon, and I'm excited to have him come on and share how far they've come. Justin Caruth and he really taken that to another level, and really that was an exciting situation because a lot of things you build and they kind of fall off, but they've just continued exactly on. I couldn't have picked a path better. That's exactly what I would have done. They did great. They got the grant. They went through, and they've achieved a lot since me. I just barely was a part of it, but I did enjoy spending that time. And then went and spent 5 years kind of just doing business. Owned a couple businesses, ran a fiber company, owned a gym, and kind of got the itch to. It's fun to be in business, but I'm not as rewarded, I don't think, by money. Some people are just much more money motivated than me. My best times were really being a principal, and I could see the changes I was making. So just kind of got the itch to do something back in the public space. And when I was with the school system, I was the person in all these meetings for workforce, right? Because the school system's the provider of workforce in the area. So I knew that I was in all those meetings. A lot of people from the outside think, well, he was in education. What's he doing with economic development? But workforce is a major component of that.
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
I was always the person meeting with those businesses, and I was the person kind of, in the community and in your meetings and the other various meetings related to that. And I just saw that I could have a bigger impact outside of education, I think, like in this side. So when it came available, it was pretty interesting to me. It wasn't something I'd, planned in my life that I was going to be an economic developer. But when you start thinking about skill set, it's like, well, I've been an entrepreneur. I know all those guys in the region. And then you're like, well, I've been in education. I know the different school systems and the principals involved and the superintendents involved. So, and then government, I've kind of been around that
That's big.
for a
Yeah.
lot of years, right? Like you're just kind of in that. So kind of knew all the different people. I actually ran for office in 2020 and don't plan to do that again. But I got to meet all the commissioners that ran, and I was very impressed with all those guys. And they've done a very difficult job, but that was a tough transition switching from sole commissioner to a board, and they've done an amazing job here. Same with the Catoosa group. So I just kind of knew people in Catoosa, Dave, Walker, and Chattooga, and I thought that's a perfect fit for me. I'd like to give it a try. And Senator Mullis spent so many years in Atlanta and has such deep relationships. I kind of saw like how much knowledge those guys have, and I thought this is kind of the last chance for somebody to go in and like learn some of that stuff because, like it or not, I mean, the guy knows what he's doing, and he's really a good guy. He's been great to me, and I've enjoyed kind of getting to know him. And he's top of Georgia, has but he's done my job in the past. And then same with Spencer, who had done my job, and now he's the chief of staff for our new representative Clay Fuller. So I'm excited to work with those guys. I've known them for a long time, and it just seemed like the right time. You coming back was a big thing. I thought, the band's getting back together 5 years
That's
ago.
right. Yep.
All these pieces that 5 years ago
Yeah.
we thought
Yeah.
we had something, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. Well, now it just kind of feels like all the pieces are coming back in new ways, and we've got great leaders in the different counties. Walker County's no different, and just kind of excited to come back and contribute how I can.
Yeah. Yeah. You were, I feel like you said, the band's getting back together, but there was a core group of people. It's always good to see next generations coming up and trying to work together and collaborate, and break down some of the silos that maybe have existed in the past, or the territorialism, I guess, if you can say that. But just to kind of have a vision for what Walker County can be. I know one of the things we've talked about a lot, you and I have, and then we've had discussions too, is what do we do with the Peerless Mill and Rossville? You've got this building and this very focal point of the north end of the county, so close to the development and the growth of Chattanooga, and what does that gateway look like into North Georgia? And you guys have had some promising discussions and opportunities there, maybe in Rossville, to see what can come as a result of people working together for a shared vision. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, a couple things. The shared vision part, I'll agree, because you kind of worry that you're going to get in and there's going to be that one stumbling block, and you're like, "Oh, I can't get past them." But every city I go to, the people they want the best for their community. All the commissioners, they want the best. Come to the chamber board, everybody just wants to. How can we help the region, right? And that translates around the region. The That transition is it's a regional issue. That
Yeah.
gateway,
Yeah.
Rossville, and you can break it down to Peerless, but I think you have to look at that whole district because we don't have, like in economic development, I don't have a ton of control. There's very little control. I can have some influence, and if someone is interested in a new facility or moving in or expanding, then I can come in and provide some tools. But a lot of times, if things stay status quo, I pretty well have to stay status quo as well. So there's some handcuffs with economic development that have been a little frustrating to me, to be honest with you, because I want to go in and make change. And I've had to sit and really study the best mechanisms for us to use. And so we're working in that area. I think there's a good plan and there's a good group in that area. And it's a bigger issue. So we meet with the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County. There's Catoosa County folks involved, the city of Rossville and the commissioners, and then really anybody regionally that's interested in working on that project of the boulevard in Rossville. Uh, it's going to be a joint kind of task, and Tennessee's working on their side, and we're going to have to come to the table and work on our side. And it's just, I think, the next up and coming area in Chattanooga and the region. So you're going to see some improvement there, but there's roadblocks and there's headaches and there's things that you just really can't do anything about. And that's frustrating.
Yeah.
But it's
Well,
part of it.
especially, and I've heard that from more than one entrepreneur, someone who's owned their own business and they work in a different setting, or maybe they serve on a committee that's attached to a government entity, or in your case, in your position, um, and it's the wheels turn a little bit slower, or there's more red tape to have to go through, or people want you to have big government, but then they want you to have small government, depending on what the situation is and what their neighbor's doing. Even I think we've seen that quite a bit.
I'll say I don't know that that's a terrible thing, right? Like my job is to go through the process and red tape and to make it as smooth as possible. If you want to start a business or expand a business, I need to facilitate that and make it a good place to work. That being said, you don't always want things to happen easily and without checks and balances. And so it's not terrible. It's not, we want to do what the will of the people is. So that's why all this stuff is here. It's not really for me to decide this is going to happen. It's for me to facilitate what everybody wants to happen in their community. And I think that's the place where you just have to give up control when you're in this kind of role versus when you're in a business role. When it's business, it's on me to make sure I execute. In this role, it's on me to make sure I execute when I'm given the go ahead or when all the parameters have been met, right? So unless it's a very good deal for Northwest Georgia, and that's how I look at it is, uh, Walker County is a great county. Catoosa, Dade, Chattooga, all fantastic places to live. But when you put us together and we're Northwest Georgia, we can kind of rival Chattanooga proper in some ways. Now, not Hamilton County in the greater area, but we have much more influence when we go to the table as 70,000 workforce versus you know a smaller number, right? So using the tools that Georgia gives us to kind of let us band together to go after bigger ticket items and things that like a county can't go after. That's where I've kind of found that our niche is going to be, and just facilitating whatever the will of the government. You elect your government officials; they want this done. My job is to execute to the best deal for the people. So when there's people at the table, you've got the government, you've got the business owner, and then you've got me. And I just look at it as my job is to look at this number over 50, 100 years, 10, and go, what's going to get the most for our people over that long term? Because we have to look at it not just like, did we get the red tape cut and get it done this year? We want to look 5, 10, 20, and then further down the road say, was this a good deal for us in the long term? Did it improve quality of life for our people? Is this a place that people want to live? And is it a place that people can be successful and have a high quality of life? Look, if a data center did that and the right deal did that, that's a good deal. Most of these that I see, none of them, I don't want them, right? Like, I don't want that because my job is to make sure you guys have a really high quality of life. And if it brought your quality of life down, I'm not very successful. Economic development is so interesting because it touches so many areas. If you improve the quality of life of an area, you're going to improve the economic outcomes of the area. If you improve economic outcomes, you're going to improve the quality of life most of the time. So,
Well, and how do you balance? I know, like we have a housing issue, I feel like in Walker County for sure. But we also love the land that we have here, and the outdoor appeal, that this area is known for. And then even, when we have industries that are looking to this area. So we have industrial parks. And I think one of your goals is to try to make sure that those places that are already set up for that are the first ones top of mind, to kind of push new businesses into those areas that already exist.
yeah, I think a great example is Crystal Springs. Chickamauga, that's not, wouldn't say I'm involved. At some point, I may be involved. They're cleaning that up, and that will potentially be a great new development property in Chickamauga. Do I want to move and take one of the great farms and make that the new development? Absolutely not. Like, great pieces of property, our quality of life of having these beautiful places. We don't want to reduce that, right? Like, we want to feature it. It may be that, and a lot of this is county specific, and county, not me, but what I do interact with are the developers, right? So, like, I'm talking to the larger developers and making sure that they understand this is what our people would like. This is kind of the expectation that we're going to have on the quality of the construction, the density, the setup of the neighborhood. You're not going to come in and just lay down tract housing with the cheapest materials if because it's not going to sell, right? Like, they want a good deal and I want a good deal for them. So helping them understand this is the market, this is where it's at, and they have to make those financial decisions of, is that a good investment for us? But my job is to just, one, let's go find all the areas that have already been industrial or have already been blighted, and let's focus on those. Let's keep all the pieces that currently, we've got set aside. That's for the county to decide when that comes available and what. That's not for me. But I am, working with developers to kind of help guide them in. This is the area that would be most beneficial to you because the workforce numbers match up, right? So, and Walker County, I would say, is kind of poised to have a bit of a housing bump. You're going to see more houses come in because you've got the workforce numbers. So, Walker County's got a very strong uh, industry base, and that's driving jobs. Those jobs, mean people need to come in and move there so that they can keep growing. So, um, I do think you're going to see some housing come in, and a lot of that again is county specific. You've got a great codes department that they do a really good job of going through and being good to work with, but still doing their job. And that's such a hard thing to find. And I think that's why people want to come here because you get a little bit of the relationship that you might have had 20 years ago in Chattanooga. You can still have that. You can know the person that you're going to talk to. We're not cutting corners, but we do want to be, personable and have put a face on everything and help you. And so that's kind of been my focus is how do we help the entrepreneurs already here and in our area already be here. And then how do we look at the sites that we already have and let's maximize those. And then again, if something comes and I'm not also, it's your property. If you got somebody wanting to buy it and they want to do this, for some of the counties, there's no codes, there's zoning. So they can do, in other counties that I deal with, you can do pretty much what you want. Here, as long as you go past zoning, planning, and you go past the commissioners, my job is just to help facilitate it once that happens.
I don't know how a guy, Lacey, that seems so of the people and for the people rules out another political run in the future so easily. I just, he sounds like he's got everybody's best interest in mind. So I want to circle back if we can. Some of my early experiences with you, Matt, were like you said around the Chamber of Commerce board of directors table, and it didn't take me but a couple of meetings with you to realize this guy's got passion. He's got heart for his community and for the people that are in it, and he's a get her done kind of guy. And I saw that in you and in the way you go about yourself, your demeanor, your work ethic. You talked about one of our focal points this month is how do we connect education in the workplace and make those work together. Launch is a big part of that. You talked about innovation. And you've worn many hats, small business owner, you've worked in education, you've been an innovator, you've tried to bring all those puzzle pieces together to make a better community. How do you take those passions? How do you take that work ethic, those things that are instilled in you, and pass that down to a younger generation through education and modeling and example? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so it's an area that I hope I get to be, more involved. That's kind of my dream. I know there's things I have to do, right? And I'm going to do the mechanical things that I need to do, RFIs and the technical aspects. But like you said, changing a kid's trajectory is really one of the greatest things you can do, right? I didn't grow up with a ton of money, But I knew if I got an education, it would be valuable to me in the future, and I would be able to have more than I grew up with. It's sad when that doesn't work out for a kid, right? Like we did that. We didn't make that diploma valuable enough. We didn't give them the right tools. If the outcome doesn't happen, right? If the job and the good life didn't happen, we didn't do our job. The fruit is the judge, right? I mean, my whole career is what was the outcome? Now we work back. What I see is it's non-cognitive skills. Okay. You can call them what you want. You can call them grit. You can call them passion. You can call it just being able to discern, to be able to go through and continue on task or do multi-step tasks, learning how to learn, learning how to work, the things that we did by being next to an adult all the time, and now kids in front of the screen all the time. And I'm gonna tell you, the screen is a problem. Period. They want to be with an adult and emulate an adult. That's the job. When you put the screen in front of them, we thought in education that was a good thing because it made kids pay attention. It made them pay attention because they were outside all the time. And so the only time they got a screen was when they were sitting in a computer lab when we were kids. And so we focused on that because it was new. It was novel. When I was at Gilbert, I had kids that didn't know you could walk into the woods. They thought it was like a video game where you just stopped and you couldn't go past. And in their mind, that's like the boundary of a video game, and you couldn't go past it. And you take a kid into the woods and you actually look at the leaf, the brain starts moving on its own, right? So, like giving a kid opportunity to see those things. So that's about, I used to say, when you're in school, you're there for 180 days. You probably only remember 10 or 12 days from your entire school career. Most of those were field trips. One or two of them was a great lesson. Those are really the only days that really mattered, right? The rest of them didn't matter. We need to make that a higher percentage of every kid's career. We need to give them opportunities to actually work, and more importantly, fail. Failure is fantastic. I didn't win in 2020, right? That was no problem because I'm used to failing. I failed more than I've succeeded. Mm-hmm. I don't mind failing, and I'm not ashamed to fail. So it's easy to continue if you don't mind if failure is temporary, right? So we don't put that into kids. We make them think they have to be perfect on the first try. And then for our older kids, it's going to be about apprenticeships. And that's the area I want to personally be involved in. We take the kids from the school and right now they're going to launch, and that's fantastic. That was always in my mind one aspect of kind of a greater system where we would put them with community leaders and people and have them shadow, have them work, have them just learn and soak up that knowledge, and I think apprenticeships is going to be the way that we get a lot of that accomplished. The sad thing is, if you can Google it now, it really shouldn't be one of your standards. I mean, you don't need it to be one of your education standards. It's something the kid might get interested in at some point. He'll look it up and he'll know it. Where he's not interested in it and he won't know it and it won't matter because if he ever needs it, he can Google it. We got to teach how to know the right source, how to check multiple sources, how to verify. That's much more important than, the battle of Chickamauga or wherever. Chickamauga is very important here. It's not important anywhere else, but it might be a standard. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter to another kid's life where it could be a vital part of this kid's life. We want to make sure they've got an opportunity to be successful. Once you meet that basic standard, I think AI can do this. It can help you cover a good number of standards self-paced and then let you have an opportunity to go work in the area that you're interested in. So we can do some, there's ways to use the screen intelligently, but just keeping the kid in front of it all day is not it. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think we're seeing more of the employers too, the manufacturers, adopt more of that technology I know we've talked with Pilgrims a little bit. They're coming in for a lunch and learn with the chamber on June 23rd, but just to talk about how many jobs they're planning to bring, but also what that looks like. And I know in one of our previous discussions, someone had asked, okay, well, if you automate this position, does that mean you're not bringing in 600 and some odd jobs? And they said, well, no. I mean, there's got to be somebody connected to that automation who knows how to run that piece of equipment. So if you take someone off the line, you replace them with a job that might be a little higher paying too.
Yeah, and it varies. It's something that obviously you do want to watch because they can automate you out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the jobs that they'll have remaining are those higher paying jobs. And our college and career academies in Catoosa and Walker, our technical college system, which is excellent. And then our CTAE programs in all the different schools in the four counties. And you got to look at the four counties for workforce because if you look at where everybody works, it's typically not always in their county, right? Like they're moving. So you really do need to look regionally for workforce. We've got a group of kids that will work hard, and that's a great thing to have. I think we dog our kids more than they deserve. I think they're a harder working group than we give them credit for. Um, and I do think the automation is going to be important, but the kids that understand and the people that understand how to do those things and how to, like, if you understand in the past 50 years, okay, I just need to learn this one automation and I'm going to get this one system. The system's going to change. So you can't just learn that one system. You kind of have to learn how to adapt to systems. So again, it goes back to teaching the kids how to learn and teaching them. Um, I think the training that these companies offers has gotten exponentially better. Like you go to Astemo, you go to Roper, I'm sure Pilgrims are big employers around. Like if you go down to Mohawk in Stewart County, or even like some of our local employers now, they're really investing in training. They're finding resources like with the technical college and other programs that Georgia has where they're doing it on their own. So, like, I think 10 years ago, and especially 5 years ago, if you didn't have that skill and experience, they weren't going to hire you.
Yeah.
And so you had this, like, how do I get the experience? Because you won't hire me to get the experience. Well, we finally gotten past that. That's just a good times problem. But now it's tougher to get everybody. And so you're seeing them invest more in training these kids. And you can be very successful and make a really good living by going to, like our freighters, travel around, learn how to do their system. There's no schooling. It's just go there and work and make a great career. There's some places like that now, and it's exciting that they're investing in their staff. So whether that's a college degree or just more training in field, it's great.
Yeah, you mentioned freighters, and we actually had our leadership graduation yesterday with the chamber. Freighters is always one of the top places that people like to visit when they're participating in that program because they really do see them taking everything, from the wood itself to develop this awesome gym floor that they're being shown NBA courts. It's pretty remarkable that it's made right here in Walker County. And we're happy that you're facilitating some of those discussions and helping them possibly grow and bring in some more businesses.
Really, Freighters, but any great entrepreneur, Rock City is a great example.
Yeah.
Like we have entrepreneurs doing big things. They're growing. Freighters is the largest sport court manufacturer in the world now. That's amazing to be in Rossville. I mean, Rock City continues to grow and innovate.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. The best groups and the best entrepreneurs that we have are really, really excellent. They're world class. And just giving those people opportunity to do what they do. And again, it's also I'm here to listen to the community and the commissioners. That's everybody's job because we're all stakeholders. But those are people we want to have in our community. However, we can help facilitate. It's kind of just at the will of the people. But I will say, they're great people, really sharp people, giving really good jobs and growing. Same with a lot of these. Roper right now has completely. They've always been a strong employer, but now I see them as elite. They've really kind of improved in a lot of different areas to where they're world class in what they're doing, whether it's quality or cost. And those are our employees and our residents doing that. So they're building one of the best appliances in the country right now. And that's something to be proud of. And we don't talk about what a great workforce we have. People that show up, you know, sometimes you hear I can't find good employees. I'm sure it's hard, but buddy, go somewhere else and see how hard it is to find good employees. We've got people that'll come and work hard for a day's work, and it's still a place that you can afford to live. So some of these places are just too expensive to live, and our job is just keep a good balance. So it's still a good place to live, and the wage keeps going up, and that's all I'm here for.
I think that growth is coming. It's about responsible growth and how we bring all the people to the table and help facilitate those discussions, like you said. And thank you for being part of our discussion today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I try to stay in the background in this job, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm just kind of moving however people need to move, right? Like my job is just to facilitate other people's work. So it's not so much that I need to be out front, but I appreciate you having me on.
Well,
and also thank you for everything that you guys do. I'm excited to come back and see, one, just how resilient the chamber's been, and two, just y'all, the right people are in charge. It's really exciting when you see like, okay, you guys are about to take off, and all the right people are there, and it's fun to go get to sit in the room when that's going to happen, and it's fun now in this job that I get to be in each one of these counties in these different rooms, and I can see the people that are doing that and know it's happening everywhere, and that's an exciting thing.
We have a staff of 3 now at the chamber. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm excited about that. We've got our tourism manager and Bethany, our membership coordinator, now on board. So we're excited about the year that we have ahead for the chamber. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of positive things happening and growth taking place, and glad that Matt, that you and your team are a part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not as big. It's a very small team. Ashley Givens works for me. She's our project manager. PR comes in and does the books for us a day or two a week. So it's a very small staff. We're just excited to be here, excited to help and work with you guys, and thank you for all that you guys do.
Absolutely. Well, all right, guys. Until then, stay tuned for another edition of Walker Talks.